Greetings, one and all, once again back to Exploring Arda, a Tolkien-centered podcast where I am your host, Jackson, and I go through a bunch of Tolkien's works other than Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, and this is technically my Christmas episode, so hopefully everybody has a very Merry Christmas. Hopefully Father Christmas has brought you something very well this year. Very good this year? Yeah. It's basically Christmas episode. Happy holidays as usual. This is the final part of the letters from Father Christmas, but obviously I am I'm definitely very excited for Christmas. I always am each year. It's very fun, as you can tell with all my jackets, sweaters, and whatnot. I absolutely love decorating with all the spirited stuff and like the ugly sweaters, whatnot. It's very fun. This is a very fun time, I feel like. That's probably why it's a lot of people's favorite holiday, because it's just full of friendliness and fun and all the good stuff. So hopefully you guys, if you watch it before or if you watch it after, hopefully you guys had a very good time with friends or family or, whatever you fill your holidays with. I hope it was all very good. So I think there's no really introductions to kind of what it is if this is the final part. This is part 4, the finale, I suppose, of the letters from Father Christmas. So if you'd like to know what has gone on between Santa and his helpers, or I should say Father Christmas and I guess his helpers, his packers and riders and polar bears and stuff like that. So, and elves and gnomes and all the characters that you guys have probably listened to, and if you haven't, go check out the other parts so that you know what I'm talking about. So, so I think with all that kind of said, I think I'm just going to jump into 1939 and go on until I finish the book. So here we go. 1939. Cliff House, North Pole, December 24th, 1939. My dear Priscilla, I am glad you managed to send me 2 letters, although you have been rather busy working. I hope your bingo family will have a jolly Christmas and behave themselves. Tell Billy, is not that the father's name, not to be so cross. They are not to quarrel over the crackers I am sending. I am very busy and things are very difficult this year owing to this horrible war. Many of my messengers have never come back. I haven't been able to do you a very nice picture this year. It is supposed to show me carrying things down our new path to the sleigh sheds. Paxu is in front with a torch looking most frightfully pleased with himself, as usual. There is just a glimpse, quite enough, of Polar Bear strolling along behind. He is of course carrying nothing. There have been no adventures this year, and nothing funny has happened, and that is because Polar Bear has done hardly anything to help, as he calls it, this year. I don't think he has been lazier than usual, but he has been not at all well. He ate some fish that disagreed with him last November, and was afraid he might have to go to hospital in Greenland. But after living only on warm water for a fortnight, he suddenly threw the glass and jug out the window and decided to get better. He drew the trees in the picture, and I am afraid they are not very good. Best part of it, they look more like umbrellas. Still, he sends love to you and all your bears. Why don't you have polar cubs instead of bingos and koalas, he says. And the note says, why not? Give my love to to Christopher and Michael and to John when you write next. Love from your Father Christmas. And there is a cool little fun painting there with the Christmas trees and whatnot. And yeah, they do look a little like umbrellas, but it's still very, very cool. Still festive, still very Christmassy, so, I think it's fine. So I think we'll just go right. So I think that was just another brief, this is what's happening, everything's good, and whatnot. Thanks for sending the letters. Here's a picture. So, I think we'll just go right into 1940. So, December 23rd, 1940. Dear Priscilla, glad to find you are back. Message came on Saturday that your house was empty. Was afraid you had gone without leaving any address. Are having very difficult time this year, but are doing our best. Thank you for explaining about your room. Father Christmas sends love. Please excuse blots. Rather busy. Yours, Polar Bear. And it actually goes on a little bit more. Cliff House, near North Pole, Christmas Eve, 1940. My dearest Priscilla, just a short letter to wish you a very happy Christmas. Please give my love to Christopher. We are having rather a difficult time this year. This horrible war is reducing all our stocks, and in so many countries, children are living far from their homes. Polar Bear has had a very busy time trying to get our address list corrected. I am glad you are still at home. I wonder what you will think of my picture. Penguins don't live at the North Pole, you will say? I know they don't, but we have got some all the same. What you call evacuees, I believe. Not a very nice word. Except that they did not come here to escape the war, but to find it. They had heard such stories of the happenings up in the north, including a quite untrue story that Polar Bear and all the polar cubs had been blown up, and that had been captured by goblins. That they swam all the way here to see if they could help me. Nearly 50 arrived. The picture is of Polar Bear dancing with their chiefs. They amuse us enormously. They don't really help much, but are always playing funny dancing games and trying to imitate the walk of polar bears and the cubs. Polar Bear and all the cubs are very well. They have really been good this year, and have hardly had time to get into any mischief. I hope you will find most of the things that you wanted, and I am very sorry that I have no cat's tongues left. But I have sent nearly all the books you asked for. I hope your stocking will seem full. Very much love from your old friend, Father Christmas. And hopefully, before the other one here, the end of the letter here depicts a very light picture, but is still with Polar Bear dancing with the penguins, which is kind of cool. It's, not the full art, but it's still there. It's still another picture, so I still very much appreciate it. So, we will go now into the next year again. So, 1941. Cliff House near stump of North Pole. December 22nd, 1941. My dearest Priscilla, I am so glad that you did not forget to write to me again this year. The number of children who keep up with me seems to be getting smaller. I expect it is because of this horrible war, and that when it is over, things will improve again, and I shall be as busy as ever. But at present, so terribly many people have lost their homes, or have left them. Half the world seems in the wrong place. And even up here we have been having troubles. I don't mean only with my stores. Of course they are getting low. They were already last year, and I have not been able to fill them up, so that I have now to send what I can instead of what is asked for. But worse than that has happened. I expect you remember that some years ago we had trouble with the goblins, and we thought we had settled it. Well, it broke out again this autumn, worse than it has been for centuries. We have had several battles, and for a while my house was besieged. In November, it began to look likely that it would be captured and all my goods, and that Christmas stockings would all remain empty all over the world. Would not that have been a calamity? It has not happened, and that is largely due to the efforts of Polar Bear. And note says, that's me. But it was not until the beginning of this month that I was able to send out any messengers. I expect the goblins thought that with so much war going on, this was a fine chance to recapture the north. They must have been preparing for some years, and they made a huge new tunnel which had an outlet many miles away. It was nearly in October that they suddenly came out in thousands. Polar Bear says that there were at least 1 million, but that is his favorite big number. And the note says there were at least 100 million. Anyway, he was still fast asleep at the time, and I was rather drowsy myself. The weather was rather warm for the time of the year, and Christmas seemed far away. There were only 1 or 2 elves about the place, and of course Paxu and Volkatuka, also fast asleep. The penguins had all gone away in the spring. Luckily, goblins cannot help yelling and beating on drums when they mean to fight, so we all woke up in time and got the gates and doors barred and the windows shuttered. Polar Bear got on the roof and fired rockets into the goblin hosts as they poured up the long reindeer drive. But that did not stop them for long. We were soon surrounded. I have not time to tell you all the story. I had to blow 3 blasts on the great horn, wind beam. It hangs over the fireplace in the hall. And if I have not told you about it before, it is because I have not had to blow it in over 400 years. Its sound carries as far as the north wind blows. All the same, it was 3 whole days before help came. Snowboys, polar bears, and hundreds of elves. They came up behind the goblins, and Polar Bear, really awake this time, rushed out with a blazing branch off the fire in each paw. He must have killed dozens of goblins. He says 1 million. But there was a big battle down in the plain near the North Pole in November, in which the goblins brought hundreds of new companies out of their tunnels. We were driven back to the cliff, and it was not until Polar Bear and a party of his younger relatives crept out by night and blew up the entrance to the new tunnels with nearly 100 pounds of gunpowder that we got the better of them for the present. But bang went all the stuff for making fireworks and crackers, the cracking part, for some years. The North Pole cracked and fell over for the second time, and we have not yet had time to mend it. Polar Bear is rather a hero. I hope he does not think so himself. And he says, I do. But of course he is a very magical animal, really. And goblins can't do much to him when he is awake and angry. I have seen their arrows bouncing off him and breaking. Well, that will give you some idea of events, and you will understand why I have not had time to draw a picture this year. Rather a pity, because there have been such exciting things to draw, and why I have not been able to collect the usual things for you, or even the very few that you asked for. I am told that nearly all the Alice and Utley books have been burnt, and cannot find one on moldy warp. I must try and get one for next time. I am sending you a few other books, which I hope you will like. There's not a great deal else, but I send you very much love. I like to hear about your bear Bingo, but really I think he is too old and important to hang up stockings. But Polar Bear seems to feel that any kind of bear is a relation. And he said to me, leave it to me, old man, that is, I'm afraid, is what he often calls me. I will pack a perfectly beautiful selection for his Poliness. Yes, Poliness. So I shall try and bring the beautiful selection along. What it is, I don't know. Very much love from your old friends, Father Christmas and Polar Bear. And it says, message to BB from PB. Sorry I cannot send you a really good bomb. All our powder has gone up in a big bang. You would have seen what a really good explosion is like if you had been there. This is 40... Hold on, because it kind of ends there abruptly. I need to make sure that I'm reading the right stuff, and it keeps going. I have to backtrack. Okay, yeah. And that was 1941, so some of these years kind of blend together, so... yeah, so the goblins are back again to cause another havoc and trying to retake the north, apparently. And it is the 40s, so World War II's ramping up. So with all the, unfortunately, with all the families being in a very tense situation, kind of understands why there's not a lot of letters, not a lot of kids writing to Father Christmas and whatnot. So it kind of makes sense, and that's kind of like the whole gist of like what the letter is all about, which makes sense. So I guess apparently, since there's already that going on, he decides, well, yeah, the goblins decided to fight back as well, because there's so much turmoil in the world. Why don't they? So I think that's kind of the main point of it. But we'll go again into the next year here. So 1942. Oh yeah, there wasn't any illustrations to show, unfortunately. So 1942. Cliff House, North Pole, Christmas Eve, 1942. My dear Priscilla, Polar Bear tells me that he cannot find any letter from you among this year's pile. I hope he has not lost any. He is so untidy. Still, I expect you have been very busy this autumn at your new school. I have had to guess what you would like. I think I know fairly well, and luckily we are still pretty well off for books and things of that sort. But really, I have never seen my stocks so low or my cellars so full of empty places, as Polar Bear says. I am hoping that I shall be able to replenish them before long, though there is much waste and smashing going on that it makes me rather sad, and anxious too. Deliveries are more difficult than ever this year with damaged houses and houseless people, and all the dreadful things going on in your countries. Of course, it was just as peaceful and merry in my land as ever it was. We had our snow early this year, and then nice crisp, frosty nights to keep it white and firm, and bright starry days. No sun just now, of course. I'm giving as big a party tomorrow night as ever I did. Polar cubs, Paxu and Volkatuka, of course, among them, snow boys and elves. We are having the tree indoors this year, in the hall at the foot of the great staircase, and I hope Polar Bear does not fall down the stairs and crash into it after it is all decorated and lit up. I hope you will not mind my bringing this little letter along with your things tonight. I am short of messengers, as some have great trouble in finding people and have been away for days. Just now I caught Polar Bear in my pantry, and I am sure he has been to a cupboard. I do not know why. He has wrapped up a mysterious small parcel that he wants me to bring to you. Well, not exactly to you, he said. She has got a bear too, as you ought to remember. Well, my dear, here is very much love from Father Christmas once more, and very good wishes for 1943. And a little note says, no battles at all this year, quiet as quiet. I think the goblins were really crushed this time. Windbeam is hanging over the mantelpiece and is quite dusty again, I am glad to say. But Polar Bear has spent lots of time this year making fresh gunpowder just in case of trouble. He said, wouldn't that grubby little Billy like being here? I don't know what he is talking about, unless it is about your bear. Does he eat gunpowder? And the note says, you'll find out about the pantry. Haha, I know what you like. Don't let that Billy Bear eat it all. Love from Polar Bear. And let's see here. Yep, and then it'll be one more before the end of the book. Crazy, guys. So, yeah, basically, because of the war and whatnot, like I said before, there are less and less things to be gathered around. But even so, Father Christmas tries his best to supply gifts and whatnot, which is kind of what he's all about. So, only makes sense. So, I think the brief thing here, because there are no more illustrations and whatnot before the very last page, I think. Yeah. So we'll do the letter, and then I'll show you the very last one of the book, and I think we're done. So here we go. 1943. Cliff House, North Pole, Christmas, 1943. My dear Priscilla, a very happy Christmas. I suppose you will be hanging up your stocking just once more. I hope so, for I have still a few little things for you. After this, I shall have to say goodbye, more or less. I mean, I shall not forget you. We always keep the old numbers of our old friends and their letters, and later on we hope to come back when they are grown up and have houses of their own and children. My messengers tell me that people call it grim this year. I think they mean miserable, and so it is, I fear, in very many places where I was specially fond of going. But I am very glad to hear that you are still not really miserable. Don't be. I am still very much alive, and shall come back again soon, as merry as ever. There have been no damage to my country, and though my stocks are running rather low, I hope soon to put that right. Polar Bear, too tired to write himself, so he says, and the note says, I am, really, sends a special message to you. Love and a hug. He says, do ask if she still has a bear called Silly Billy or something like that, or is he worn out? Give my love to the others, John and Michael and Christopher, and of course to all your pets that you used to tell me about. As I have not got very many of the things you usually want, I am sending you some nice, bright, clean money. I have lots of that, more than you have, I expect, but it is not very much use to me. Perhaps it will be to you. You might find it useful to buy a book with that, what you really want. Very much love from your old friend, Father Christmas. And that is basically the end of the book. There is a cool little thing that just says a Merry Christmas, and it is like the moon in the night sky. Very cool. And yeah, so that finishes Letters from Father Christmas. Very cool, very fun little story that he wrote for his kids, definitely. So I definitely appreciate it and whatnot. Let me know kind of below in the comments which character you enjoyed the most or something like that, or what you kind of enjoyed in general about the book overall. I know that my narrating skills are not very good, but it's like I've said, it's like a personal project of mine, so it's just another thing that I just like doing, and I haven't read through the whole book until now, so it's a very fulfilling thing of mine, and especially because it is the holidays. You know, it's just very it just makes sense for me to kind of read through it, and hopefully I can post them each weekend or Saturday or something. I don't know. Hopefully I did the scheduling correctly, but we'll see. Otherwise, yeah, Tolkien was full of that Christmas spirit, as you can tell, for many, many years. So hopefully everybody can have that shared similar feeling, that the joyous times of the holidays and whatnot. So hopefully you guys have a very Merry Christmas, or you already had one. A very good time and whatnot, as I've said. I know this is a very short one. I just wanted the final episode to be very short and quick, just in case if people were busy and whatnot, because it is the holidays. It's very busy, despite, well, not despite, it's just very, very busy, but very good time as well. So I think with all that kind of all being said, there's really no conclusion to it. I know that usually I would do like a book review at the end of it, like I've done with the Silmarillion, but I just think for this one you just need to kind of read through. It's a very good, very warm-hearted experience, with Santa. Which I always call him Santa, but he calls himself Father Christmas the whole time. But if you want to learn more about Father Christmas and the polar bears and the elves and the goblins, apparently, just go back and listen to the story because I absolutely love it. There's no review of it because it's a good time for Christmas. So that's what the book is all about, having a good time in Christmas and making up stories about Father Christmas and his good days and his bad days during the Christmas season. So I think that's that's kind of what it is. So I think now, with that all kind of being said, just make sure that you guys had a very Merry Christmas and a Happy Holidays, and be sure to stay tuned for the next episode. And may the light of Elbereth be with you all. Farewell!